They usually like a woman with, people usually use self-fulfilling prophecy. And they also talk about some chemo signals, which means that different emotion actually emits different chemicals from your body. It only took a person 39 milliseconds to opposite attract, but psychology doesn't really support that idea. Today is April 7th and I am in a big trouble now because I have my midterms tomorrow, and my group mate just messaged me saying that he won't be present tomorrow meeting. So I have to do all the PowerPoint slides as well as preparing for the presentation. So I have two things to juggle tonight, and I'm now in a class because I have a class to teach. So yeah, I might have to pull the Casey Chan move and just pull an all-nighter. And as you guys know, right, like teaching is the way to learn. So after preparing every chapter for my midterm, I'll be making like a conclusion and I'll be sharing it with you guys, and you guys will be like attending like a summarized version of social psychology. And yeah, it's killing two birds with one stone, right? So good evening. Hello, can you hear me? The thing with TOEIC is like they have like 7 parts, 4 parts for listening, 3 parts for reading, right? And you welcome back. I'm done with the teaching. I have taken off all my makeup and now I am really in like study mode. It's 10:25 right now and I should better get started right now if I don't wanna like be up all night. And so right now what I will be doing is I'm going to download all the PDF files, the lesson materials for tomorrow midterms, and I'll be going through them one by one. So yeah, it is psychology of public relationships. A little over 30, so I think I'm going to spend like a good 30 minutes on each chapters because it's at the end of the day it's still gonna be a close book exam, so I should get down my facts right, my theories right. Thank God this course is taught in English, so all the PowerPoint slides are in English, which is really fortunate for me, but most of the time I have to read a lot of documents in Chinese. Speaking of reading documents, I want to introduce a very useful tool to my dear viewers, Lufe AI. I know, as an overseas Chinese student studying in Taiwan with all these Chinese textbooks and PowerPoint slides can be a nightmare, but I use Lufe AI to really translate any kinds of websites or documents from Chinese to English and vice versa. Sometimes I need to translate from English to Chinese so that I can share my documents and my PowerPoint slides with my group mates. Not only that, they also have a Chrome extension, so you can easily extend it to use it pretty much everywhere. And aside from that, they also have read aloud function after translating, which I always tell my students to do when they are learning English. So definitely check out Lufe AI using the link in my description box below because it really helps the channel a lot. Okay, so back to the video. I don't know what happened to my audio here, but this is my intro. I was talking about how I just finished my presentation and also my midterms, and now I have time to really summarize and update about what I've learned for the midterms. And I was talking about how I wrote down my summaries, and I was thinking of teaching you guys and sharing with the knowledge, so it retained my memory a lot. The first thing is I want to talk about physical attractiveness when it comes to women and men. It's not the same for women and men, because women usually thinks that men with masculine features are more attractive before the ovulation phase, before they are about to start their menstrual menstrual cycle, they would vote that masculine men are more attractive to them. And during the rest of the month, they would think that feminine men are actually more attractive. But it's not the case for men, because men don't have this cycle. So men usually go for women. Contrasting to what you think, they usually like a woman with a better hip to waist ratio. So your hip has to be a little bit smaller than your waist, and usually like a minute, I meant the waist has to be smaller than the hips, and usually like a 0.7 ratio is the best for men. And scientists also said that men usually like 0.7 hip to waist ratio compared to bigger breast. Men don't usually like big breast women. They usually prefer like normal size. So yeah, I think that is quite interesting. And for partner, when they are choosing partner, men usually go for physical attractiveness, whereas women go for survival and reproduction. Which means that for survival, women would choose the man that has sufficient resources for their upbringings or their children, right? And for reproduction, they usually choose someone that has good genetics. So it comes to our primary instinct, where women will usually go for healthy looking men and strong men, so that their upbringings and offsprings will be healthy as well. And I also have another interesting theory here. It said people usually use self-fulfilling prophecy, which means that if you are attractive, you get treated more favorably. And by being treated favorably, you will get more self-confidence. And if you have more self-confidence, you perform better. So at the end of the day, it's actually a vicious cycle, because it all comes down to your self-confidence. As I told you, if you have more self-confidence, you perform better, and people perceive you in a better light, and that increases your attractiveness. And they also talk about some chemo signals, which means that different emotion actually emits different chemicals from your body. Yeah, so actually your odor, your scent actually has an effect on how attractive you are. So they have a study where they expose people to empiric odors of happy people. By being exposed to those kind of odors, they found out those people actually become happier. So I don't know if that is true or not, but it has a scientific backup, and it's called chemo signals. So yeah, I mean, try to smell better next time when you're out in public. Another thing is they were talking about first impressions, and first impressions are very important because it only took a person 39 milliseconds to have a first impression on another person. And so yeah, the very first few minutes is very crucial to your long-term relationship, because after having this first impression, it's very difficult to change them, because you have this self-fulfilling prophecy. Like I said, if you think this person is bad, you will later on try to find clues and facts to support your belief system. You will try to find that, okay, this person is indeed bad, even though they are doing some good things. So yeah, your first impression is quite important. And we usually heard of the terms that opposite attract, but psychology doesn't really support that idea, because they have done a research where they put the participant into a room, and everyone is a stranger, right? And they are told to pick their seats themselves. And what they find out that is people usually sit near the person who looks a little bit like them. Not to be racist, but Asian people usually sit with other Asian people usually sit with other Asian people, and people who have glasses usually sit with other people who also wear glasses. And girls usually stick around other girls, where vice versa, guys would choose another guy. But if the relationship is a give and take relationship, where it's something like, okay, your partner is into S&M, So if she is an S and you should be M, and that way you guys are going to attract each other. But in normal cases, like what I said, in normal day-to-day cases, usually likeness attract more. They also talk about self-concept and how people with negative self-concept, while they are dating, they want to date a person who gives them positive feedbacks, and we call them like self-enhancement. It's in like, oh honey, you're doing great, don't worry about it, and something that is like positive but superficial. But when they really try to get married, they want somebody who gives them negative appraisal, and they actually call this self-verification. So if you think of it, it is a vicious cycle, because you get negative feedback and you feed on that. You like getting the negative feedback. You kind of like crave being told you're ugly, you're fat, you're not good enough, when in return it is not helping you become better. It's actually making you worse, right? Because you have this self-doubt, you have this anxiety to prove your worth. So it's important to actually have a good self-concept. And they also talk about some visual dominance ratio, and they call it VDR. It means like how much of the time you're making eye contact with the person you are speaking in. And they say that normal people look at their conversational partners when they are speaking, okay, for 40% of the time, and when they're listening they will give attention like 60% of the time. But on the other side, people, like powerful people, act opposite. So when they are speaking, they actually look at you. They actually make more eye contact when they are speaking, opposite to listening. So when they are listening to you, they might be like looking someone else, but when they are speaking, they will look at you in the eye. So that's quite interesting. Yeah, I think that's probably it. That covers chapter 1 to chapter 5, and I didn't have enough time to completely study chapter 6, so I just briefly read through the PowerPoint slides, which backfires on me because the teacher actually asked like a discussion question for chapter 6, and I didn't really know the topic of it, because even though the theories are kind of similar, they still have technical terms to it, so you still have to be familiar with the terms to really write down the answer that the professor is asking about. So I kind of failed on that, but I think it's pretty good because I didn't spend that much time studying for this exam, so I think it's a given. So yeah, I just came back from my 10,000 steps, 10,000 steps walk, and now I'm just going to call it a day. I'm going to go back upstairs, freshen up, and just edit the video that you guys are watching right now. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you that decided to take your time to just watch my videos. I think if you have time to check out the link that I linked below in my description box, it will help the channel a lot. So make sure you check it out, and I'll see you next time.